For the next 24 hours, I'll be attempting to build an entire high-grade Gundam from start to finish. I just finished watching Mobile Suit Gundam Geek on Amazon Prime, and for my first Gundam anime, I really liked what I saw. The animation was great, the story was solid, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little confused. There's a lot of history when it comes to Gundam, and that was clear when I was watching Geek for the first time. However, it did get me wanting to build another Gunpla again. But instead of spending days or even weeks like I did before with my RX-78 kits, I started wondering, how much could I actually get done with a Gunpla in just 24 hours? And I also have a few rules to make things interesting. 1. The full kit has to be built within 24 hours. 2. I have to apply 3 tips you guys gave me from my last Gundam video. And 3. I have to add a creative touch that makes this Gundam my own. For this challenge, I'm going to be building this kit, the High Grade Gunpla, which is one of the main mobile suits from the anime. The design of this mobile suit really grabbed my attention. I just love the bold color choices that it made, the armor design, and also how it gave off a completely different vibe compared to the RX-78-2s that I built earlier this year. Now before that timer even starts, we have some preparation to do. Rule 2 says I have to apply 3 viewer tips from my last build, and one of the many things that you guys suggested was for me to use better tools. Since that video, I still have the Mr. Hobby kit that I used to piece together those RX-78-2s, but I definitely think that we could do a lot better with our tools we're using this time around. I decided it would be much better to immerse myself in a full-on Gundam hobby store experience, and for that, I'm heading to Gundam Planet. They're a Bandai flagship store located in New Jersey, and it's one of the best organized hobby spaces I've ever seen. Every shelf is a sight to see, with rows of Gunpla kits organized by series, displays of built mechs behind glass, and even a workshop where people can learn techniques like airbrushing. Just walking through the first floor, you can tell this place was built by people who really love the hobby. The model kit section caught my eye right away with stacks of the latest kits, including the Geek line. Seeing all those boxes lined up ready for anyone to grab made me even more excited to build mine. And heading upstairs, I entered a totally different world that was loaded with action figures, things like SH Figuarts, Figma, and even Robot Damashi. Sadly though, I'm not here for action figures today, so I need to head back downstairs and look for the tools that I need. The staff there was pretty helpful in guiding me to the right tools that I needed to upgrade my building experience this time around: a single-bladed nipper, the Racer Origin glass file, which was also suggested by you guys, and a fine-tip Gundam marker for panel lining. I also picked up a couple of metallic Gundam markers that'll come in handy for the creative touch I want to try. By the time I got back home, it was 10:30 p.m. and the challenge officially began. I've got until 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night to get this done, and our first step is going to be panel lining. I'm starting with this fine tip Gundam marker instead of the poor type I used last time. In my first build, I lined everything after cutting and assembling the parts, but a few of you suggested trying it while the pieces are still on the runners, so that's what I'm going to do this time around. I checked the manual to figure out some sections that would still be visible once assembled, and then focus my lines on those. While panel lining on the runners, I think the real game changer here was the fine point marker itself. I mean, in my eyes, the precision on this felt much better compared to the poor type marker. Capillary action does look cool, but the last time it got messy fast, especially on my fingertips, and this one feels much cleaner. After panel lining all of the pieces, I'm going to let the ink dry and then also use a Q-tip with alcohol to clean up the excess. After doing all that, I'm now an hour and 42 minutes into my challenge. The runners are fully lined, and it's time to move on to building the head. Or actually, heads, because the Geek Gundam comes with 2 versions, one open and one closed, so let's get this done. This is where the build really gets into motion and takes shape, cutting, cleaning, and putting those first pieces together. Since the last Gunpla video, I've been watching all kinds of Gunpla builders and learning different ways people approach their builds. And one thing that stood out to me was using premium single-bladed nippers for the double cut technique. This was my first time trying out the nippers I picked up from Gundam Planet, and the difference is night and day. First, I use my old pair to separate all the pieces for both heads, then I go back with the single-bladed nippers for the final cuts. Each one smoother, cleaner, and it's honestly satisfying to see how easily they glide through the plastic, almost like butter. After removing the runner bits, I use the Racer Origin glass file to polish the nub areas. It gives this glossy, mirror-like finish that looks so much better than what I used to get with the metal file from my basic toolkit. I can definitely see why some of you were suggesting to grab one of these, and I highly recommend it myself after trying it. Once everything's smooth, I started piecing the parts together. A couple of sections need extra attention since Geek actually comes with two versions of the head, one closed and then the open one. Once both heads were complete, I went to go check the time and I saw that it was 2:30 in the morning. I need to actually get some sleep because the last thing I need to do is start falling asleep while building this Gunpla. However, just because I'm getting some rest doesn't mean the timer will stop. Every minute I sleep is time slipping away, so if I want any chance at finishing this, I've got to be up as soon as. It's officially 9 in the morning. I've already burned through 10.5 hours of this challenge, so there's no time to waste. With my tools ready to go, it's time to dive into the torso. Now, one of the things that helped me get through building the head and also now the torso was organizing my runners in alphabetical order. This had me spending way less time digging for runners because I knew where everything was, and also cutting out all the pieces like I did earlier for this section and organizing those helped me stay focused even more. I've been building for a few hours at this point now, and it's starting to sink in that 24 hours sounds long until you realize that half of it is already gone. By 11:55, the torso was officially done, and I decided to take a quick lunch. I definitely needed the reset and the food, but every minute I'm not building also means the clock is still running. I'm now starting on building the arms. Compared to the torso, these are a lot more straightforward, which gives me a little momentum boost. Because both sides are identical, so I cut out all the parts for the left and right at once. It's a small time saver, but it definitely helps. At this point of the challenge, I was in a rhythm. Cutting, cleaning, polishing, and assembling. It's almost therapeutic, especially when you have some music going on in the background to kind of help pass that time and get in a zone. We still have a ways to go though, especially if we want to finish all the sections and do our customization before 24 hours is up, so I better get moving. As soon as I finish the arms, I jump straight into building the waist and the legs. No time wasted. Since both of the legs are identical, just like the arms, I used the same technique of cutting out all the parts and prepping those, and then started assembling them. At this point, the hours were starting to blur a bit. The bits were piling up, but I'm still feeling pretty locked in. There's just something really cool when it comes to building a Gunpla and seeing how the kit slowly develops and takes shape piece by piece, and you're also getting to see the inner workings of the model and how certain things will function. By 7:28, both legs were done, but I still have some building to take care of because finally it's time to build the backpack and the weapons. The good news is that having these new tools and having built Gunpla before, I did feel my process was a bit faster and I was in a better rhythm. I was starting to see the end in sight, but also the clock was not slowing down at all. I still have to get this model fully built and then customized if I want to complete all rules of this challenge before 24 hours is up. Not long after, I had every section complete for this build. Torso, arms, legs, backpack, and the weapons, all complete, and it was officially 8:37 p.m. But now I have one rule left in this challenge, which is the creative touch, and I have less than 2 hours on the clock to make this build truly mine. I started by grabbing the metallic Gundam markers that I picked up, the gunmetal and the white gold, and use a Q-tip and toothpick to apply it to the pieces. From there, I lightly brush and scratch the color onto darker pieces of this model to give it that worn and weathered look. It was the vision I had to give this suit a story. This kit is pretty clean once you put it together and if you do no customization to it, but I wanted this thing to feel like it's seen a few battles. Some parts were going to need to dry before I can flip them over and keep up the process, so I move between pieces like the gun, the axe, the shield, keeping things moving. For the axe, I wanted to try the technique of masking tape so that I could have the silver on the edge where the sharp blade area is, and I think it's going to turn out quite nice if I do this right. Everything was coming along nicely, but then that's when I ran into a problem. One of the panels I lined earlier overlaps with a decal spot. For a second, I thought I've ruined it and I'm probably going to cost myself a lot of time in this challenge, especially with very little time left on the clock. But then that's when I remembered that alcohol can be your best friend. I'm talking about isopropyl. A little bit on a Q-tip cleans that line right up, and now I can successfully attach the decal that's supposed to go there. With all the decals now set onto the model and not much time left on the clock, I decided to go back in and add a little more grime using the pour type marker and another Q-tip to rub it onto the surface. Doing this added a little more depth to my Gunpla and it was a nice final touch before my time was up. 24 hours later, 10:30 p.m., and the G-Quux is complete, built, detailed, and customized into something that actually feels like mine. Seeing it all finished, I'm honestly very impressed with how this turned out. It has a really awesome looking design in hand and looks way better than I anticipated. You can pose it in so many ways and it actually holds the positions quite well, almost like an action figure, which as a collector of action figures, I really appreciate. Also, in a lot of ways, the articulation on this thing is so dynamic and reminded me a lot of something like a real grade. Trying out another form of customization for the first time made this experience even better. Mixing the base build with my own touches gave it personality, something that makes it unique compared to what you get inside the box. It's just pretty cool to see what's possible with a Gunpla when you have only a single day. When I started this, I didn't really know what to expect. I just wanted to see if I could actually pull this off. But along the way, I picked up new techniques, learned better ways to use my tools, and found a whole new appreciation for the process itself. Every step these past 24 hours felt like progress, and it's something I can definitely carry into my next Gunpla adventure. Now the question is, what do I build next?